Hello, hello, hello. This is Ragan Thomson. Today we're going to explore the topic of move your body and move your energy. We're going to take a deep dive into this topic with our guest, Yemaya Renuka, a transformational mentor and intuitive kinesthetic empath with over 25 years of practice and expertise in the healing arts, somatic therapy, trauma release work, Eastern and Western spirituality, community development, and the performing arts. But before we begin, let's start with some questions for our listeners. Did you know that you have a relationship with your body? What are the benefits to learning about your body and having a healthy relationship with your body? How moving the body through dance can cause a great deal of healing in one's life. Did you know that there is a significant connection between the body, mind, and spirit, that you can't separate them even if you try? What are the specific benefits to helping your energy flow more freely through movement? My guest today is Yemaya Renuka. Yemaya was propelled on her healing path in her early 20s in San Francisco. After discovering the power of rituals and earth consciousness, she moved to the peaceful hills of the Marin Zen Center, Green Gulch Farms, Muir Beach, where she was trained into discipline and meditation. During her 25 years of practice and studies of other modalities, she has developed a mastery of the perfect mind-body healing touch, depth of listening, and a keen gift for human empowerment. She became a fervent yoga practitioner in the late 90s and graduated as 8 Limbs Ashtanga yoga instructor in 2002 under the guidance of Baba Hari Das and the Mount Madonna Center, with which she stayed involved as an assistant YTT trainer for a few more years. Hello, Yemaya. I'm so happy that you're here with me today.
Thank you, Regan. What an honor.
I really am so grateful you came because, Yemaya and I have been friends for not a long time. And the time that we've had together has been really meaningful to me. Yemaya is a beautiful, bright being, and being with her every time has been a gift in my life. So I really, truly am so honored to have you here. I've learned a little bit about you from what you shared, and I know the work you do is very beautiful and powerful, and I want to learn more about you and your work today. And obviously our listeners are going to learn a lot too as well. And I want to explore with you today the topic around move your body and move your energy. Sounds good?
Yes.
I love movement. I mean, it's been such a beautiful part of my life. I used to dance more than I do now. I'm dancing still. There was a time in my life before I really found healing work and all the different modalities that I've discovered over the years. Dance was the number one healing modality for me in my life. I used to dance for hours and hours with my sister, traveling around the world and dance classes. I have a running joke with my friends and family members that my first year of university studies, I lived the entire time in a leotard. I was constantly taking dance classes. And I remember it being so healing in so many ways for me in my life. Coming from a time in my life when I started to dance more from an eating disorder, and I was in the middle of that eating disorder, really, really struggling with my body image and who I was. And dance was a very beautiful reprieve for me to really get away from that trauma and that pain that I was experiencing inside myself and just really let go and feel that freedom inside myself to feel that no longer existed for those hours or those minutes when I was dancing and moving my body. And then also coming from a sports career of, a lot of sports with tennis and basketball, being a competitive sports player for many years. I'd like to hear from you about the relationship between ourself and our body and just kind of explore that with you now and whatever you'd like to share.
Yes, thank you for that. That's one of my favorite subjects, of course. And we did meet dancing.
Yes, we sure did. Yeah.
Yeah, dance came in my life really early. I think I started dancing when I was 4 years old. And there is, like a joke in my family is like that I came into the world dancing out of my mother's womb. So it has been one of my primary modality for healing. I needed a lot of healing as I had a difficult childhood. Now we call them, childhood adversity. And there is a lot of different modalities and work that address those, but dance has definitely been the first one for me. I like your question for your listener around stagnancy in the body. And as we know, in certain medicine, Western medicine, Chinese medicine, when there is a stagnant element, either in one of the body system or in the muscle system, it creates disease. The somatic body work that I've been trained in my early 20s was a big part of completing my dance abilities, as well as being able to move through the emotions that muscles store inside the body. Let me try to explain that in a clearer way. We use our muscle tensions to hold the feelings that we're not able to express. As children, we're being confronted with all kind of different elements. We see things that maybe we shouldn't see. We experience things that maybe we shouldn't experience, that are creating tension in our being. And in order to be able to cope with those tensions, we use muscle groups. And that creates a positioning in the body. And you can see that around you, just walking down the street. You can see people that, walk with their chest, put forward, or with a shoulder above the other, protecting their heart, or creating a defiant posture or a compliant posture. All this positioning is ways for us to cope with what comes at us and that we're not able to process. Now, when we start adulting, in order for us to regain a full ability of movement, both emotional movement and physical movement, we have to go into those areas so that they can reveal secrets of the past and that we can regain full freedom. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, it does. And so what I'm hearing is that our relationship with our body and that connection to our body is far more profound than most people probably think.
Yes.
Right? And so there's this gateway, these various gateways, it sounds like, through the body, and then finding whatever tension or stored trauma could be inside the body through that gateway or that doorway into discovering it through, like you're saying, movement and dance. And so what you provide to the world, is this also in the relationship to then maybe you can tell me more about somatic therapy. It sounds like that's a way to access these doorways.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. But actually, I'm going to get you back to dance, sorry, because I know that you love that subject. Then I probably will go back to the somatic body work. But there was a beautiful teacher many of us know called Gabrielle Roth, who started the 5 Rhythms movement, also known as Sweat Your Prayers.
Yeah.
And she was an amazing pioneer who discovered that when we are moving, breathing, sweating with the attention to what is happening inside, a lot is being revealed. We're able to move into feelings or emotions such as sadness, grief, anger, rage. It's a really, it's a moving meditation. So there is the same impact on awareness and consciousness and self-knowledge that can happen with that type of movement and dance that happens if you're sitting on a meditation cushion. So, I was lucky to be able to practice with her and some of her teachers, in my mid-20s in San Francisco. And that also opened, huge doorways to, wanting to continue on that path. So after doing a lot of dance, I realized that I still had, emotions that were stored in my body. And I discovered another piece of work with another mentor, Marion Rosen, who created the Rosen method. And that's an incredibly deep, beautiful body work where we touch people in a way that they are able to unwind the tensions from the inside out. And there is also a verbal part that helps them go deeper into the body-mind system. So it's not just the chatting mind and the intellectual mind that can, lie and create all kinds of stories that are not based on truth, because the body doesn't lie. So we bring those two pieces together of the body and the mind, and so that there can be emotional release, and then there can be space made for the new, like we're freeing people from their emotional patterns, their mental patterns, and their physical patterns in a very holistic way that allows them to bring new things in their life that is more to their dreams and purpose.
It sounds like this has been very effective for you in your life. Like you were saying, you had a tough childhood where you've been doing this work primarily. It sounds like your most effective way to heal in this life.
Yes.
And so would you say that with for our listeners, if they're interested in getting involved with this type of dance therapy and movement therapy, that they need to have a facilitator to initially get them going, or is this something they can start to do on their own? Is there some sort of instruction that we can give them today that might get them started, or how to get started?
It really depends on the being. Like I have some clients that I see in my bodywork office, and I send them home with homework going, okay, I'm going to send you a really angry piece of music. You're going to get home and you're going to just move your anger to this music. I have some clients that come back going like, I was not able to do that. So yes, sometimes we need a facilitator that create a safe container, a safe space, and that is able to remove what is in the way of, reaching those places, particularly for women. Anger is not always an easy, it's not has easy access. Or sometimes there is too much and we don't know how to make it an efficient energy, because there is, that beautiful energy of fire that can really help us create and manifest. But if it's something that is overwhelming to us, we are not able to use it in the proper way.
So again, kind of going back to, I'm really wanting to help our listeners know where to get started. And so it sounds like, is there quite a few dance therapy, movement therapy programs and facilitators available besides yourself?
Yes.
Is this pretty common now?
There are more and more, and it's been growing, beautifully. There is, Open Floor. If people go on openfloor.com, that's the following of the Sweat You Prayers movement from Gabrielle Roth. All the ecstatic dance that are popping up all over the planet, are places where people can do that, if they're able to let go of the social aspect of the dance, and really take it as a ceremony. So yes, that would be really helpful for people. Somatic therapy is also becoming quite known. There are very different methods. There are methods that, like I do, like really use hands-on, which is really beautiful. Because we can go deeper than perhaps just with guided meditation. That's connection, between soma, the body, and psychosomatic, the mind. There are, different videos they can have access to, different mentoring programs.
And so, and then respect to the benefits, I'm hearing some of the benefits that you're sharing, and you said the body doesn't lie. And I think that's a very powerful just point to make. That is so true, right? The body does not lie, whereas the mind and the psychological processing of the mind, it creates these stories that are not true or real. And we sometimes can't even see through the veil of illusion that's going on there, what is true and what is real, and constantly kind of pulling from the past, these past recordings and creating these stories. And really, it's just like, how do we disintegrate that and then see through to the truth, right? And it sounds like what you're saying is with the body work and the movement work and the dance work, you begin to, if with the proper instruction and facilitator and the program or whatever there may be that someone walks into, they're going to start getting to the truth of what's really going on inside them. And what is the pain really saying? What is the hurt saying? And starting to get into that trauma release, maybe grieving or letting go of resentment or anger, like you're saying, whatever's stored. And then now that's some of the benefits I mentioned. I wonder if there's any more benefits that I haven't mentioned, more benefits for our listeners to hear about how powerful this work can be.
Yes.
Anything you want to share?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So yes, correct. The body doesn't lie, but the body numbs. So, part of that, movement, through dance or breath, rebirthing is also another tool that people can do, and because what happens with the dancing is like the breath is able to come back and go in places that were not breathing before. With the body work, same thing, it's like we gently unwind the muscle tension so that the breath can come back to those places. So there is two main benefits. One is that, the unwinding is bringing the truth that was underneath the numbness, and from that truth, all kind of things can happen. People can find their passion that they did not access before. They can find their purpose. They can really feel connection with their own inner guidance system. And then on a physiological level, the blood come back to those areas. So when people have, like chronic pain or like, frozen shoulders or even chronic tension that can lead to really problematic injuries, that is resolved through those different modalities and techniques so that there is a lot less possibility of injuries.
Which is so interesting to me because when I think of a lot of humans on the planet, when they have an injury or a wound in that way, they actually try to stay away from movement. And where you're saying, let's go into it. Let's bring the blood flow there. Let's move the body. Let's get it back into balance and flow in some way, right? Yeah. And there's just I'm just hearing that there's such a misperception around that because there's a lot of like, ooh, this is hurt, this part of my body. Ooh, I don't know what to do now. Okay, I should just avoid movement. I shouldn't move this part of the body. I should avoid going into it. Rather, they avoid versus going in, right?
Yeah.
Going into that.
Yeah, it's
and
really,
having that relationship with the body so that you can learn what the body's even saying to you in that respect within that injury.
Yeah, so it's really important to listen. I've had myself some pretty bad injuries. I have a condition of extreme hypermobility. So yoga was able to give me the strength that I needed, because I was hypermobile. But I've had some conditions that would create fear when I could feel like, let's say, like a spasm coming on. I would, in the past, just lay down, don't move, go into stillness for protection. And those injuries, chronic injuries kept coming back. And just a couple of years ago, something came up in that same way. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it differently this time. I'm not going to stop moving. I'm going to move gently with a lot of breath, but I'm going to keep moving. And instead of having, debilitating, week long in bed, actually in a couple of days, things were back to normal. So, yeah.
I love that because it's so helpful to know that this is available because I also have had a couple injuries from my, not really more kind of wear and tear kind of stuff in my body from the tennis career that I had in this life. And it's so interesting, that relationship. It's just this one knee that I've had that will kind of once in a while kind of show itself and go, oh, it's still here. And then immediately if I do any kind of energetic work with it, I used to be like, okay, I need to do this exercise and I need to do this kind of rehabilitation. I even did stem cell, and it's now healing more than ever, not only because I'm using it and moving with it, as well as the energetic relationship I'm having with that, with my knee. It's like literally, I'm like, okay, I hear you. I'm here with you. I feel you, rather I've been like, what do I do? And instilling, more fear inside myself around, is this ever going to end? Am I ever going to be able to heal this? All that tension, the fear, and just seeing that my relationship with my body over time has become, I know it's energetic primarily, right? I just know that there's a message there for me. And so I'm hearing you say that these messages, the truth is stored in the body. And for us to just really come into acceptance of this relationship that we have. It is the mind, body, spirit connection, right? And we just sometimes, I know not just myself in the past, as well as many humans again, we do our best to try to understand that intellectually, but are we really practicing that we cannot disconnect the mind, body, spirit connection. There is no way to disconnect those three from each other. They're completely connected, even if we try, right? So the body has great information. The mind has its own value. And clearly we're meant to become more masters of the mind rather than master us. And then there's the spirit, right? And our spirit connection and where we're at with our emotional body and all of that's so connected. So I'm just seeing this really beautiful cohesiveness with what you're sharing of just bringing those all together. So if you want to explore that a little bit more with me, the mind, body, spirit connection as well.
Yes, I'd love to. I have a lot of people that come to me for mentoring or for the body work, and they come saying, I've done 10 years of psychotherapy, I got to a certain place, but it doesn't move further. And, I believe that it's because the body has not been brought into the picture.
Yeah, I absolutely see that. So combining, I think, movement with psychotherapy would be the key, right? Yes. And do you have stories of individuals that maybe then moved into doing more movement with the psychotherapy and had a couple success stories to share maybe?
That's what That's the story of Marion Rosen, who was one of my main mentors. I studied with for 8 years. She was practicing rebirthing and breath work and physical therapy next door to, I think they were sharing office space with someone who was a Jungian analyst. And she realized that people that were coming to both he and her were progressing, 50 times faster than people that were seeing only one of them. And that's when she started bringing the dialogue parts to her physical work. So, that's pretty much how she created it. We're talking in the 40s, 1940s. So,
excellent. And then you're a yoga teacher. So tell me more about that experience with healing yourself through yoga and supporting that discussion with our listeners right now so they can learn more about yoga. Because I know that's been a big part of your training and your existence in this life.
Yes, it has been. I love practicing. I was in a Zen monastery, in the ashram for yoga. There is something about practice that really keeps you moving forward, instead of stalling and, maybe lacking the courage to keep going on your path. So yoga is an amazing discipline. It's very rich. I also really love all the mysticism and, like in the Vedas, and, there is so many layers to yoga beyond asanas, beside the physical form, and the pranayamas, which is the breathing exercise, again, the connection to breath, body, accessing higher realms of consciousness. So bringing spirit there, yoga really bring all those pieces together, all these parts together.
And how has yoga played out in your life as well, as far as healing of yourself? What would you say has happened for you because of yoga in your life?
Oh, peace.
So much more peace.
Oh my God, yes, so much peace.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Yeah.
Okay, listeners, do you hear that? Get into yoga if you want to have more peace in your life. Yes. And it really is. It's such a beautiful, I love yoga. I've done quite a bit in this life. I used to have a yoga therapist, and for many years I did yoga therapy. Is that the kind of yoga that you like to provide to your those who participate in yoga with you? Like a yoga therapy base?
Yes, but at this point, I don't practice much asanas. I really help people with pranayamas and and more the spiritual aspects.
Yes.
Of the yoga.
Yeah. Well, it's so beautiful. And then lastly, I just wanted to chat with you a little bit more about the experience of the trauma release work, just to kind of finalize today, because I think that's such a powerful place to help our listeners know about. And really just explore with you and with our listeners the idea of why we have trauma in our body and where that might come from. Because I think a lot of people are like, well, why would I even have trauma? Where does this even come from? Right? I mean, I don't know. My childhood was pretty good. I had a couple things happen that were super great. So, this understanding that we all have trauma that's most likely been stored in our body, in our cells. And that's not unusual. It's actually can be quite normal to have this energy stored in our body. And I know that I've done a lot of good trauma release work in this life. And it's kind of a consistent need to do that because, right? I mean, obviously, if things are happening to you and life's happening, so many of us, even in a mild way, are experiencing some sort of level of trauma at times, just, with a breakup with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or something happens in your family, someone passes away that you really care dearly about. There's this element of us all learning, I think, and we're not all experts at this time, to manage our energy correctly so that we're not storing, right? And so, but so many of us don't have these effective practices and processes to know how to just let it up and out, let it go as we go. So therefore it builds up, and there's this kind of build up of almost toxicity or trauma inside of our bodies. And I think I just wanted to share more of the understanding with everyone who's listening that it's not unusual to have trauma that you still might need to be working with to letting go. And there's maybe grieving or whatever this work is. So just kind of expressing now how normal it is.
Yes.
Versus someone being unusual.
Well, it's very common, and there is old trauma and there is new trauma. But we also are, living in Western society where there is a lot of shame around trauma and a lot of hiding about feelings, and that is why I believe this resurgence of the deep feminine wisdom that's coming back on the planet at this time is really the path to create health in our society, health on the planet, because it's been suppressed. The feeling world has been suppressed for eons. And until we're able to reclaim and live in that feeling place, trusting the power of emotions. A lot of people, there's either shame or there is fear of overwhelm. Oh my God, if I let myself feel these feelings, this grief, this pain, this anger, I'm going to drown in it. I won't be able to get out of it. And that's a big part of the teaching I do with people in my mentoring program is like, trust this oceanic wave of feeling, because when you don't resist it, you will come back out very quickly like a surfer, and in the oceanic waves of feelings. So I think the more of us on this planet educate ourselves and trust that there is no shame to have around pain, around trauma, and actually why we're here as human beings is to experience the whole holistic part of us, of who we are. And I believe there's a very, very important movement, to reclaim that and reclaim the power of the emotions. So yes, there is all kind of trauma. There is the old traumas that come from childhood adversity. They recognize there is like 10 different markers of childhood adversity. Most people have two, like a divorce in the family, or being even the firstborn and then having someone else come in and dethroning you can be traumatic. And then there is the other markers. That's when you go over 4 markers, then there is danger of having things like such as diabetes, respiratory chronic disease, et cetera, et cetera. So like what, they've scientifically proving now that those, when you have those markers in your life, you really need to work on it, because you might develop some problematic physical issues. So yes, it is really normal to have those different trauma. And, at the time that we are now, the new generation is dealing with planetary trauma. And we need to come up with very precise way of working with that.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. I just wanted to wrap it up with you. I don't want to wrap it up. I'm really enjoying this conversation. And I just kind of want to go back to the topic. We were talking about move your body and move your energy. And what I'm hearing is, this pathway to moving your energy through the body really can lead to just optimal, beautiful health and happiness and peace. And that's what I really want to express to our listeners. I know a lot of individuals right now that shy away from movement and dance, like, oh, I'm not a good dancer. I don't know what to do. I just don't know how to move my body. And you know what? Just get started. Just start, maybe just turn on some music tonight and let yourself be free and just freestyle, just enjoy, right? And maybe get started from there. And I know that for me, I incorporating dance into my practice in the morning with meditation and whatever I'm doing to do my practice in the morning, adding in movement is profound. It's such an important part of the practice. And just throughout the day, right? Just getting moving and walking, there are ecstatic dance opportunities, in Santa Barbara, California is the Dance Tribe. There is a lot of different ones around the globe. Pretty much any city I go to, it seems like there's one available these days. So I just want to express that. There is a lot of opportunities, and as well, working with you and working within what you have to offer, just getting the body moving, right? And it just makes such a difference. So I'm so very grateful you came to share with us today, and I love you, and thank you so much.
Yes, moving and breathing. Yes, I can let people know to come on my website if they want to see. They can find 2 different workshops. I have 2 signature workshops. One is called Healing Our Body's Buried Stories, and the other one is called From Planetary Trauma to Tribal Magic. And that one has a lot of dance in it. There is one coming up in LA next month. My website is theembrace.life. So when you go there, you can look at, if there one of the signature workshop happening, and you can also sign up for a free session, the Freedom Path session. a complementary session with me where we explore if perhaps there is ways where I can help you and tell you about different programs and offers.
And I did the freedom. What session did I do with you? What was that called? That
You
beautiful
did
session?
the Bones of Freedom.
Bones of Freedom. I did do a beautiful session. I'm letting my listeners know with Yemaya, and it was truly profound, and a lot of great release work happened. And I really appreciate that session very much. I would like more, please.
Yes, you will.
And the dance. And when are your workshops? What are the dates?
I have one coming in just a few days.
Okay.
That's the healing of our body's buried stories. People can just go to theembrace.life and then find all the dates.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Today's episode is brought to you by the Consciousness Network. The Consciousness Network's mission is to establish, promote, and advance conscious communities. It contributes to local and global well-being through its ongoing programs, which serve as meeting spaces, training grounds, resource pools, and a support network to help the Santa Barbara and Southern California community fulfill its potential and impact the world. The Consciousness Network strengthens the bonds between all of us, creating relationships through which true healing, service, and transformation can take place. For more information and to sign up, the Consciousness Network may be contacted at www.consciousnessnetwork.org. So, if you enjoyed being with us on this podcast today, I would really love it if you join me on my website. It's RaganThompson.com. And on my website, you'll find any upcoming events. If you prefer to get into an event, there's even a place that you can buy your tickets for the event, as well as testimonials you can check out there, as well as audios and podcasts. This is all free on my website. I have been hearing repeatedly from people, not only and locally and around the world, that they're getting a lot of benefit out of hearing the audios, which are offering wonderful healing techniques for you to bring into your life. So I hope that you also join me and partake in these free offerings. You can follow me on social media at Ragan_Thomson. That would be so wonderful. So thank you so much to all my listeners today for joining me on this podcast. This has been such a wonderful podcast for me. I learned so much. I hope you did as well. And we're going to get out there in the world and start dancing and moving our bodies more. More humans need to do that. I know this. So I wish you very well. And I want to make sure that once again, I share with you Yemaya's website. It's theembrace.life. So thank you so very much. Bye-bye.